Thank you, Bill, for that reading, although I wasn't prepared to be tearing up at the beginning of my sermon. Thank you for those kind words. It's been a wonderful year together. So, the magic of the empty space. There's an old story, a Zen koan, about a cup of overflowing tea. It goes something like this. Maybe you've heard it. A university professor traveled far and wide to find Nan-in, a Japanese Zen master. Upon greeting this traveling professor, Nan-in served the professor tea. The Zen master poured his visitor's cup full to the brim and then to overflowing. Silently, patiently, Nan-in just kept pouring. Finally, in exasperation, the professor cried out, "The cup is over full. No more will go in. Stop." Ah, Nanin said. And like this cup, you too are over full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I teach you unless you first empty your cup? Sometimes for me, and I imagine for you, in fact, little secret, sometimes for me, even in relationship to this congregation with the plethora of events and offerings, it feels like life is a buffet of so much. It's a smorgasbord of creation at our fingertips, providing limitless potential for experience and enjoyment. Even when things are hard, actually, it can feel like this. Like there's just one more rally, one more phone call to make to my representative, one more letter to write, one more vote to cast. There's so much to experience, to enjoy, to do. The more of life really has no end, and this can be a challenge, but it's also a beautiful thing because there are so many of us, so many beautiful and diverse people and lives, so many hearts and minds here on this planet to enjoy the buffet of life. There is food for all of us if we share it. There are abundant experiences and wonderful things to do and see and live and be, enough for all. I can remember the aha moment that this dawned on me when I was feeling overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I've done this in life and that in life, but maybe there's something else that I could also do. What should I fill my life with? When I was feeling also particularly overfull in life. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's okay. I don't have to do it all. I can just enjoy my own choices, breathe the air right here around me, connect with these here trees. While it can feel overwhelming as an individual to reflect on all that life has to offer, with all the choices in life, what work to choose, what vacation to enjoy, what meal to make, what show to watch, what friend to call, what class to take at school, the amazing and relieving thing is we not only don't have to do it all, we shouldn't do it all. That's not sharing. When browsing the buffet of life, we can choose what our bodies most desire to eat. Maybe we can take a vegetable or two for nourishment, choose some important things to do, choose a protein, a grain, maybe even a dessert, but we don't have to, we shouldn't choose it all. We don't have to be it all. This makes room for all of us to be at the table. And when we make a little room on our plates or in our bellies or in our lives, who knows what goodness will show up? Who knows what else will arise? Creating a little empty space in the margins creates the space for spontaneity, for opportunity, for magic, for the dance of life to dance with us in return. So, on the altar in front of the sanctuary today, there sits a little vase of water. You can imagine it if you're not there to see it. It's filled halfway with water, and the other is filled with air. And I think there's a little food coloring in there to make it a little more visible. So this is sitting there today to illustrate that old question, do you see the glass as half full or half empty? Do you see the glass as half full or do you see the glass as half empty? This is supposed to highlight either optimism or pessimism, right? This is a pretty common little phrase, little question. But why should we be so pessimistic about the empty space in the glass? Is my question. Why should a half empty glass denote negativity or lack or loss? We can think back to the koan that I mentioned at the beginning of this sermon, and actually, without any empty space, no opportunity is there for newness. So perhaps the air above the water, I might offer us, is alive with magic. Perhaps the magic is in the empty space. I'd like to invite everyone now into a moment of meditation. If you will, take a moment to close your eyes and take a breath and just feel the pathway that your breath travels. In and out, beginning and ending. There's often a little pause after the inhale before the release of the exhale, and a pause after breathing out before breathing in again. Each of these parts is a bridge to the next, the exhale giving way to the inhale, opening your lungs for a new moment in life, and then receding to make space again. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes again, holding on to the wisdom of the message of our breath. This message is everywhere in life, really. It's in the sand timer that Christine showed. It's in the glass of water. It's in our breath. It's in funny things like coffee cups, but it's just part of life. T.S. Eliot once wrote, "To make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from." And today is a day of endings and beginnings. In fact, every day is. In Unitarian Universalism, sometimes we call moments of transition like this one bridging. And we ritualize this, especially for our youth bridging into young adulthood. Today is a sort of day of bridging for all of us. The archetype of the bridge as part of the journey reminds me of another archetype that I love, the labyrinth. And I have gifted those of you there in person the simplest version of a labyrinth, which is a spiral on the back of a card that you have. And if you're not there in person, you'll be getting a printable version of this little spiral by email in your inbox later on. So the simplest form of the labyrinth is a spiral, and you can use your finger to trace the pathway of this spiral, not the black line, but the blank space in between. And one way that I like to use labyrinths, and one thing you could do with this labyrinth, the labyrinth that you have as a little meditation tool, it's a gift to you, is to, once you trace and reach the center, it can be nice to pause, to rest your finger there in the center and take a breath and listen and let the labyrinth's medicine work on you. Take a pause and listen to what arises in that empty space moment. And then when you're ready, you can spiral back out again. Sometimes people will enter the labyrinth with a prayer or a question, meditate on that question. And then when they get to the center, either walking or tracing, pause and wait for an answer, and then travel out again digesting what they've received. The thing that I love about labyrinths is that without the empty space, the labyrinth wouldn't exist. It reminds me of a teaching that I once learned while studying Judaism. I once took a class that was called Black Fire on White Fire at my local synagogue in Oakland, California. And in this class, we studied the Hebrew letters and their concrete relationships to words and scripture. This was the black fire, the spoken or overt meaning that was physically inked onto the page. And we also investigated the white fire, the blank space around the letter, the unspoken meaning outside the box of common understanding. What wasn't written? What was echoing in the margins? What was there maybe for only each of us to hear? This mystical practice was inspired by an ancient Jewish teaching, a midrash, that directs us to pay attention not only to what has been written in the text, but to the white spaces of possibility, to the blank space, to the empty space. The white fire, or the empty space, is part of the mystery of the labyrinth. The path must be empty in order for there to be space to travel upon it. And the black fire is the line of the spiral, and it's beautiful. Those concrete borders, those things that we put ourselves into, the concrete things that we have in our lives are beautiful. But the path is the empty space, the unspoken part that we fill with our intention, that is there for us to fill, that we can show up and place ourselves into. That's the path that's open for us to move forward into. The white fire is the space where our footprints fit. This empty space gives us freedom for the journey. We, as a people who have shared a path together, now have an empty space to move forward into. As we all know, my time as your minister is coming to a close. Today is my final sermon. During the upcoming month of July, I will still be your minister, but I'll be on a period of study leave, which will include tying up loose ends, but not actively attending the meetings or worship services that you're used to seeing me at. And in August, my time as your minister will conclude. And your time as my parishioners is also coming to an end. We've said many goodbyes already. We can continue to do so over the month ahead. We've journeyed a path together for a time. And soon we will exit onto the other side. We're almost out of the labyrinth. And we'll bow to the labyrinth that's held us, and we'll journey onward on our separate ways. We've learned so much from each other on this journey, and soon we'll enter a new phase while preserving the memories we've shared, moving into a new territory, into the space of white fire, into the unknown. And such as it is with life. I mean, that's actually what we felt about one another 10 months ago, last September when I began, yes? And then we filled it with so many meaningful moments that are now our memories. Unknowns are scary and also exciting. That is not new to this congregation. You are very familiar with new beginnings and endings. There's possibility in them. There's possibility in the empty space, in the air above the water, waiting to be filled with something new. This space where the glass is not yet filled is the holy space potential, and it calls us, it summons us, it challenges us to fill it with holy work. It can inspire our imaginations. It can be an opportunity. This is the magic of the hourglass that Christine showed our children, being turned over, passing through the shape of infinity sideways. I love that she noticed that. And the grains of sand beginning to spill again. Every moment in our lives is a bridge to the next. Our relationships bridge us to one another. There are tethers between us. And as we move into the future, we carry the memories of our experiences with us. The future calls out to us across the bridge of coming moments. The future is like an umbilicus to new creation, if you will. And we can feed this future with our footsteps, with our wheels rolling, crawling, walking, inching, dancing, flying. We can move into the future, charting where we long to go, dreaming of where we long to go, casting a vision while also remaining open with curiosity to possibility, with open minds to the unknown. There have been many incredible and difficult moments that this congregation has gone through, that we have gone through together over the last months. We've spiraled into the labyrinth of grief and loss, and together we've found our way back out again. We've weathered the witnessing of catastrophes, natural and human made, tragedies that our hearts ache from. And there have been joys, there have been births and friendships, new members and meals shared, community potlucks and tea parties and festivals. There has been music and gardens and singing. There's been healing. There's been love. These moments and the love that we share, they are the bridges between us. Our relationships bridge between our hearts, and each moment is a bridge to the next, carrying us to somewhere new. So we're on a bridge to the unknown, and really isn't all of life. And on this bridge, we can remember that we're never alone, because our relationships form tiny bridges between us as we walk or roll forward into the future, holding hands and hearts and stories. This worship service has been its own kind of goodbye ritual. After this morning and in the coming month, we will cross this bridge together and we will look back and have our memories to hold on to. We will bridge into a new kind of relationship, one of people who've known and loved one another and who still love one another, but who are moving on into the white fire of different futures, ready to pick up the pen and write new and different stories. And I'm so excited for your future. And I just have so many prayerful blessings that I'm sending into the future for you. Our future stories are still unwritten, but what we know is this, that as we move into the unknown, the power of our love remains. There will be more dances and potlucks and friendships and joy. The future is unwritten, and that is a holy thing and a beautiful and right and true thing. There is no space to plant a seed without a hole, and there's no space to plant new ideas without an open mind. The magic is in the empty space. Thank you to each and every one of you for helping to shape this part of my story. And thank you for inviting me to shape a little part of yours. Blessed be, and amen.